Well, good morning, YouTube. Our project for today is to fix this chimney cap. Now you can see somebody has put, or not somebody, the guys that when they built it, put a chimney cap on here out of mortar. That's been 30 some years ago. And I've been patching at it here and there, but you can see it's no longer holding up. It's shot. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to build a form around the outside of this. I'm going to pour concrete cap on here. Now I've got to take these off of here. I may take them off. I may let them on. That way it sets my height for me. Anyway, what I'm going to do is build a form, mix up concrete, pour concrete in here, put a little wire mesh in it to hold it over the year, to, you know, give it a little bit of strength. And then that will seal this off up here, and then I'll run a bead of caulk around here once that concrete sets up and everything, to seal that, keep the water out of it. Hopefully that lasts for another 30 years. But here we go. You can stick with me. I'll show you how I build the forms and everything. You can see, in order to hold my forms up, I put pipe clamps on both ends here, and my pipe clamps will rest on that. I'm sorry, my forms will rest on the pipe clamps and hold everything in place there then. And that will hopefully save me, because I'm just working by myself, and that'll save me a lot of energy and effort here. So here we're getting ready to cut the forms here, build the forms for up on the chimney up there that we need to put the concrete cap on. The chimney itself measures 8 foot 3 inches in length and 25 inches in width. It would have to be 3 inches longer than an 8 foot 2x4. Thank you very much. So I'm going to have to extend this 2x4 to the right length, which instead of going and buying another like a 10 foot 2x4, so I didn't have to cut, I'm cutting one of these up anyway for cross pieces on the 25 inch dimension. So I'm just going to cut like 8 inch or 10 inch spacers and lap them over and then cut a piece long enough to add on to those two 2x4s to make them long enough so I have a full length 2x4 without having to go buy extra lumber, which I'll show you that as I go along here. So I'm going to give this to you in segments, simply because I've only got 2 hands. I can't hold a camera and work at the same time. So here we go. So I've got my first 2 pieces of lumber measured out here. My dimensions, I always make a drawing of what I'm doing so I don't forget the dimensions. It's just the way my life is. Anyhow, 25 inch piece, a 25 3/4 inch piece. So here we are. I got 25 inches in this piece. I got 25 3/4 plus 1/8 for the thickness of the saw blade. So when I cut this, you always cut on the opposite side of the, always cut on the left hand side of the, or at least I do, because I'm right-handed. Let me say it that way. I'm right-handed. Always cut on the left-hand side of my measurement. And the saw blade is 1/8 of an inch wide. So I get 1/8 of an inch cut off of this piece here. So I add that 1/8 inch on back here. So when I cut this on the left-hand side of the line, I end up with a 25 3/4 inch piece. That way I can cut 2 pieces at once and save that time of having to stop and remeasure again. When you're in business, that's how you make money. Just those small things all day long add up to extra 20 minutes or 15 minutes of work you get done. So anyway, but I'm not in business anymore, so that doesn't matter. Used to be in the construction business, built pole buildings and steel buildings. So I'm going to say I got a fairly good idea. You'll never hear me say I know it all. So anyway, that's it. We're going to cut this lumber and start putting the form together. All right, now I've laid out for my extender pieces that are going to go on the end of my 2x4s to lengthen them for the right length, plus the pieces I'm going to scab on the back of them to stiffen them to make sure they hold in place. I made them 8 inches long. That'll make me 8 foot 8 inches long. I need 8 foot 7. That little bit extra will help guarantee that I get my dimension correct. And then 8 inches for a scab on the back side of it, 4 inches on the extended piece, and then 4 inches back on the 2x4, and I'll put a couple screws on each side of it to screw it together. We're not holding any big weight here or anything. It's going to be a couple inches thick of concrete, so all I'm pouring up on top of that chimney cap, so it's not going to be a big deal. So that's why I'm doing that. So here we go. We're going to cut these scabs on short pieces for on there now. Okay, I've got the 2x4 laid out here on the porch. I'm going to put a block over like that, 4 inches on this side, 4 inches on this side roughly. I'm going to square it up like this just to make sure I get it good and square. Then I'm going to run 2 screws here, 2 screws here. And I'm going to use my Harbor Freight bit set. I buy these things all the time when they go on sale. I probably got 10 sets of these stashed throughout the house, throughout the garage, everywhere. These are great. I have never broke one. I've rounded them off a couple times after, you know, numerous uses of spinning a bit, especially the number 2s. Number 1s I don't use hardly much, but the number 2 bit. But I buy these things all the time. They are great. Right now I'm going to use a number 2 square drive on my drill. Not using a battery drill simply because none of them's charged up. And I'm using a 3.5 inch screw. You can use either a Phillips drive or a square drive. I like square drive anytime I can use it because they will not slip. If they do slip, you're into something really hard. This is all soft pine. It should go in there real easy without any problems. So there's what it looks like once I get the outside scab block attached. 4 screws holding it together right that. I used my clamp here, my Irwin clamp, to hold everything together. Now I've got screws sticking out on the inside here. I'll take a hammer and knock them off, and that will make this flush on the inside. Now I've got the one end on there, the 25 3/4 inch end. I'll take that up, put it on the chimney, and then measure the other end so I get an exact mark for the exact length, and then attach that one up on the roof. Then set that in place with the 3 sides. Then I'll put the 4th side on facing me. I can stand on the roof and do that. And that'll make a form out of it. Then I'll be ready to start mixing my concrete. Okay, now you can see how I have the form set on there. How I'm going to measure for this length here. And right here it is about where I want to be, right here. And then my 2x4 to that side of the line. Come out across here.